Hello, my dear students of class 8. Hope you all are fine. Uh, as you know, yesterday, that means in the last class, we have started our English 2 portion and we have started the poem For You, O Democracy. That means the introductory things were told. Okay. Now in today's class, we shall be analyzing the poem. We shall be explaining the poem line by line, and each and every word I will explain. First, that you should know about the poet. Okay. So who has written it? It has been written by Walt Whitman or Walt Whitman. Okay. So Walt Whitman actually was an American poet. He was born in the year of 1819 and he died in the year of 1892. He was an American poet, he was an essayist, and also he was a journalist. Okay. Now, Leaves of Grass, okay, from which this text has been taken, from which this poem has been taken. In your book also it has been mentioned. You can see that this poem has been taken from this book. The name of the book is Leaves of Grass. Okay, so this has been taken from here, Leaves of Grass. Okay, and you know, you should know that this is actually a poetry collection. This is a book of collection of poems, and in this book, actually each and every poem has a very philosophical note. At the core of all the poems there lies the philosophical notes. Okay, philosophical notes means these poems are utterly philosophical poems and it represents a high ordered thought, you can say. But here, as you are in class 8, so we shall not be delving deep into all these aspects of philosophy. Means I will discuss those things which is appropriate for you, which are appropriate for you and which you should understand in order to understand this poem. Okay, so those parts only will be explained here. I will not be telling you all those philosophical stuffs. Okay, only I shall be telling you which are the important things that you should remember as a class 8 student. Okay, so these are the things which I had to tell. Now we shall be starting the poem. Now when we will start the poem, the first thing that draws our attention is that the name of the poem or the title of the poem. So you can see the title of the poem is For You, O Democracy. Now for you, O democracy, when somebody is saying this particular expression, you can say, so that means that person is addressing someone or that person is telling it to someone. Now here the poet is telling it to whom? The poet is telling, or the poetic persona, you can say. We will tell afterwards when I will be explaining. I will not tell the poet, I will say the persona. Okay, persona is the poetic persona, means the speaker in the poem or who is the mouthpiece of the poet in this poem, means who is addressing to democracy. Okay, here democracy is the addressee. Okay, ADDRESSEE. So democracy is the addressee. That means who is being addressed? Democracy is being addressed. Now, what for means why I am explaining this title? Because this is another figure of speech that you should know. Perhaps you are not acquainted with this kind of the figure of speeches which I am going to explain. Few figure of speeches will be new for you. Today you will learn those. Means you will remember those. You will understand those. So for you, O democracy, in this expression we find apostrophe. Now apostrophe is a different thing. Like as you have learnt in grammar, in English 1 you have learned apostrophe s, so that is a different thing. You forget that here is no connection with that. Apostrophe is what is an apostrophe? Apostrophe is something when it's a figure of speech in which you can say the addressee or to whom it is being addressed, it can't respond back. Okay, so here I have given you in the study material also, you will find what is an apostrophe. An apostrophe is a figure of speech in which a speaker directly addresses someone or something, you can say, or something that is not present or can't respond in reality. It cannot respond back. Okay, so what is the apostrophe? What is apostrophe? Apostrophe is a figure of speech in which the speaker directly addresses someone. Here you can see the poet is addressing to whom? The poet is addressing to democracy. And democracy being an abstract idea, it can't respond back. Okay, so when the addressee is in such a condition, or the addressee is such an object, you can say, or such an abstract idea that can't respond back. When you are talking to someone, obviously we expect that that person also will respond you back. But here you can see that the poetic persona of this poem is addressing to the democracy, and democracy being an abstract idea, it can't respond back. So that is why the title itself is an apostrophe. Okay. So up to this part, is it clear for all of you? Okay, now we shall be starting our poem. Now in the very first line, you can see directly the poetic persona is again as if he is having a conversation with democracy, but this is you can say this is a one channel communication, because only from one side only the poetic persona is telling something, but democracy being an inanimate idea, or you can say being an abstract idea, it can't respond back, it can't take part in the conversation. So what the poet is saying, what the poetic persona is saying, come, I will make the continent indissoluble. Indissoluble means, you can say, never ending, okay, which doesn't have an end, or never ending. So the poetic persona is telling democracy, you come, and with the help of you I will make this American continent, this continent of America, I will make this one an indissoluble, or you can say a never ending land. Means it will have no end, it will be imperishable, you can say it will be imperishable. Imperishable means which will not have a destruction, which will not have an end. I will make the most splendid rays of the sun ever yet shone upon. Okay, now before that, let me make clear, indissoluble, as I have said, it means never ending. So the words which I am explaining here, all of you, first you will watch the video, you will write down the word meanings which I am explaining here, and then only when in your live class you will come, don't ask the same questions which are being explained in your video. Okay, so indissoluble means never ending. So here the poetic persona, he wishes that democracy should come to America, democracy should come to this American continent, so that what will happen? So that he will make it a never ending land, or you can say an imperishable land, which will have no end, which will have no ruin, or you can say which will have no destruction. Okay, now again he is saying, I will make the most splendid rays the sun ever yet shone upon. So here are two figure of speeches, I shall be coming to that, but before that just let me explain what is the meaning of this line. He is telling, I will make the most splendid race. So he wants that with the help of democracy, when democracy will come to their land, when democracy will come to America, I have said that why that is needed, because there was a restless condition, you can say, or there was utter chaos, you can say, there was a turmoil, you can say, in the land of America, where everybody, means both the brothers, you can say the southern half of America and the northern half of America, both of them were fighting with each other. Now there was a totally an unrest condition. Now here, when democracy will be restored, when democracy will come to the land of America, what is the dream of the poetic persona? That again a peaceful situation will reign there, a peaceful situation will be there. So that is what he is trying to say here, that when it will come, he will make the most splendid race. That means with the help of democracy, he will make the American nation the most charming nation, you can say, the most beautiful, the most charming nation in the world. Okay, nation, nationalities, their nationality is American and our nationality, as you know, is Indian. So it means these are the country, they are having a nation inside, means who are the inhabitants of that particular country. So he is trying to say that when democracy will come to America, when democracy will come to America, then he will make an indissoluble land which will be a never-ending place, which will have no destruction, which will be totally imperishable, and also he is trying to say here that also there will be the inhabitants of America, there will be the most splendid race. Okay, race here means race, you can say that nation also, you can say here race, you can say the caste also, you can say, or one particular species of people, you can say. So the sun ever yet shone upon. So he will make the most splendid race, the sun, where the sunshine has ever come. Means that means what? That the sun, it is shining everywhere on the world. Everywhere in the world the sunshine is there, but the sun will realize that this is the place that is the most charming, and the people who are living here in this place, they are the most splendid, you can say, they are the most beautiful people in the world. Okay, that is what the poet is trying to say here. Now, what are the figure of speeches in this line? So when he is saying, I will make the most splendid race, the sun ever yet shone upon, the whole part, when he is saying this whole part, that I will make the most splendid race, the sun ever yet shone upon, the whole part is what? This is a hyperbole. Okay, you remember, this is hyperbole. So I have said you what is hyperbole, I have said you earlier, and now again you see what is hyperbole. Hyperbole is a figure of speech where something will be exaggerated. What is exaggeration? That means something will be said more than extra. I think you have remembered when you were in class 6 or other classes, I used to tell you, suppose somebody tells that I called you 100 times, I called you 1,000 times. So that means what? That means this is a hyperbole. Means in order to exaggerate the things, or you can say in order to give emphasis on this particular incident, somebody is exaggerating. Somebody is telling something more than extra. So hyperbole means something more than extra. So you remember, when it will be said up to here, the whole line will be mentioned, I will make the most splendid race. This will be a hyperbole, because he can't make a splendid race himself. Being a human being, he can't make that kind of a splendid race there. So that is a hyperbole, that he is very much over ambitious, he is very much a kind of dreamful about his country, about the people who are residing there. So but you have to remember that this is one hyperbole. Now the next part, another figure of speech which is there, that is this part, the sun ever yet shone upon. The sun ever yet shone upon. If you see this part, the splendid race, the sun ever yet shone upon. So splendid race, the sun ever yet shone upon is what? Here this is alliteration. Why alliteration? You see, here is S, and here is S, and here again there is S. So we know that when a particular beginning letter will be repeated in consecutive words, when a beginning letter will be repeated in consecutive words, we call it alliteration. So we can see here, splendid race that the sun ever yet shone upon. So splendid S is there, sun S is there, and shone again S is there. So this part is again alliteration. Okay. Now how you can say that then this, if this line is given, this is alliteration. So if this line is given, you can ask me again, then what I will write, whether it's an alliteration or hyperbole. Remember, if the line is given in such a way, suppose if only this part is given, only this part is given. Splendid rays that the sun have that the sun ever yet shone upon. If this part is given, that is alliteration. That is alliteration. And if the whole line is given, especially this part is needed in order to make it a hyperbole, this part is needed. I will make. So when the poetic persona is saying I will make, that is an impossible thing, that is more than extra, or that is an exaggeration in order to give emphasis on how much he loves his country. He is saying all these things. Okay, so these two lines, I hope these two lines are clear. First two lines of this poem. Okay, then coming to the third line of this stanza. I will make divine magnetic lands. So divine, you know, divine means heavenly, something which is having a heavenly feeling, we call it divine. Okay, godly also, we say godly, we say divine, we say heavenly. Okay, then this word is very important here, that is magnetic lands. He is saying again, I will make magnetic lands. So what is magnetic lands? I hope in your physics subject you have read what is a magnet. A magnet that attracts the iron, kind of all these things. Now here that in order to show that quality of a magnet, it has been used here. So magnetism, the country, the American country is having such a magnetism, or you can say such a quality that like a magnet, it will attract the people all over the world. From all over the world, people will be attracted towards this particular country. So it will be like a magnet which will attract everyone with its beauty, with its charmful, or you can say with its splendid people. Okay, so the poetic persona is trying to say that I will make divine magnetic lands. That means I will make a heavenly or a godly atmosphere here, and the lands will be like a magnet attracts the iron pieces. Like the same way, the country of America, this American country, will attract the people with its beauty and charm that it possesses. Okay, that America possesses charm and beauty, and people all over the world will be attracted towards it, as if this country is like a magnet which is attracting people. Okay, coming to the next line. With the love of comrades, with the lifelong love of comrades. Now comrade, if you go deeper into this word, we will find the philosophical connotation of this word. The reference comes from you can say Karl Marx's the philosophical book, the political philosophical book of Das Kapital. But we will not be, as I said, no, being a class 8 student, you don't need all these details. When this poem will be analyzed in a higher level, that time you need all these philosophical connotation and all. So now you should know comrades are what? Comrades are who? The fellow members, you can say, or the colleagues, you can say, or the co-workers, you can say, who works for achieving the same goal. Now here, who are the comrades? And what is their goal? The achieving the same goal here, by this word I mean to say that the poetic persona is addressing to them, that means to his countrymen. The poetic persona is addressing to his countrymen, or you can say his co-worker, or you can say his fellow members of who are trying to achieving the goal. The goal is same, and what is that goal? The goal is to restore democracy in the country. The goal is to invite democracy, or you can say to restore democracy in this country or in this land of America. Okay, so they are the comrades. Okay, you don't need the philosophical or political connotation of comrade. Here you remember comrades are the co-workers or the colleagues, or you can say the fellow members of the same organization who are having the same goal. And here the goal is to restore democracy in the land of America. So his countrymen, the poetic persona and his countrymen who are working with him to restore democracy in the land of America, they are the comrades here. So he is telling that with the love of comrades, with the lifelong love of comrades, for their whole life, they have devoted their whole life, their lifelong love, again alliteration, okay? Here lifelong love, again this is alliteration. So what the poetic persona is trying to say here, the poetic persona is trying to say that with the lifelong love, that means the whole life they have devoted for their country. It's not like they are young and that is why with the youthful spirit they are working for their country. It's not like that. The whole life they have devoted for it, and they are ready to sacrifice their lives for the sake of restoring democracy or for the sake of their country. They are very much, you can say, they are very much ready to sacrifice their lives. So that is what the poetic persona is trying to say in these two lines. With the love of comrades, I want to restore democracy, I want to invite democracy, I want to bring democracy to my land of America with the love of comrades and with the lifelong love of comrades. So lifelong love means the whole life they have devoted for their country. Now here again another new figure of speech, if you say there is a new figure of speech which you have not learned till now, that is anaphora. What is anaphora? Anaphora is a figure of speech where anaphora, okay, A-N-A-P-H-O-R-A, anaphora. So what is anaphora? Anaphora is a figure of speech where actually you will find that few words, and mostly you will find, or usually you will find, the beginning words are repeated here. So with the love you see here, and again with the. So few words or mostly the beginning words are repeated in two consecutive lines. We call it anaphora. Okay. Now another figure of speech which will be quite similar to anaphora is a refrain. Now what is a refrain? In refrain the whole line will be repeated. If you see a lyrics of a song, if you see the lyric of a song, you will find that few lines are being repeated after every stanza. In the completion of every stanza, 2 or 3 lines are being repeated. So that is what is refrain. The same line is being repeated, no change, that is refrain. The few words of the line is being repeated, few words of the line are being repeated, and mostly the beginning words are being repeated. We call it anaphora. So that is the difference between an anaphora and a refrain. Refrain, the whole line is repeated, and anaphora only few beginning words are repeated. Okay, so let me I have given all these things in your study material, you can read this. Okay, anaphora, this is anaphora is a figure of speech in which words, mostly the beginning words, that words are repeated at the beginning of a successive clauses or phrases or sentences. Successive means consecutive, the next. That is, here you can see with the love of comrades and with the lifelong love of comrades. So with these two words are being repeated in both the in both consecutive lines. Consecutively these are being repeated. So we call it anaphora. Now refrain, you should means that for this particular poem, though you don't need, but you should remember, refrain is in a you can see in a poem or in a song. A refrain, you will see that the same line after the completion of each stanza, same line is being repeated twice or thrice. We call it refrain. Okay, so you should know the difference. Okay, so this is the end of the first stanza. I hope you have understood the first stanza very nicely. Whatever queries you will be having, obviously you will be asking me in the live class. Coming to the next stanza. I will plant companionship thick as trees. The poet is saying, the poetic persona is saying, I will plant companionship. What is companionship here? Companionship means here helping each other, or you can say the sense of cooperation, or you can say a brotherhood, a sense of brotherhood, or you can say a sense of fraternity. So what the poet is saying here, what the poetic persona is saying here, I will plant companionship. Companionship means I will try to, as if he is trying to harvest, or you can say he is trying to show that kind of a fraternity, the sense of fraternity that should be there among the Americans. There should be, each and every one of them should think that the other one is my brother. Okay, so there should be that brotherhood, the sense of fraternity among all the Americans, whether he is a North American or whether he is a South American. They should treat each other as his brother. And he is telling here, I will plant companionship thick as trees. Now, companionship thick as trees. I don't think that this figure of speech I should tell you. You can easily recognize that this is a simile. So this is simile. Okay, simile. So what is simile? I don't think that it should be repeated, because from class 5 onwards I have explained in class 5, 6, all these things you know. Simile means where there will be a direct comparison. A direct comparison between two things, we call it simile. And metaphor, indirect comparison, where the comparison will be hinted, where the hints will be given about the comparison. That is metaphor. But here we need simile. Simile is a direct comparison, and mostly you will be finding these kind of words like as and like. These words will be there. In simile you will find as, like, these words will be there. So companionship thick as trees, this is simile. Okay, companionship thick as trees, this is simile. That means the companionship, the warmth of that relationship, or that warmth of that brotherhood, or that unity of that brotherhood should be like as if you go to a dense forest, if you go to a jungle, there you can see as the trees are very densely populated, you can say, or the trees are very densely planted. In the same way, the brotherhood should be there. There should be the warmth of relationship among each and every Americans. That is what the poetic persona is dreaming, or you can say the poetic persona is wanting or wishing to have. Okay, I will plant companionship thick as trees along all the rivers of America. Now another thing here you should remember, that he is also trying to say that this relationship will not be a very light relationship, or you can say this relationship will not be a very transitory relationship. Rather, this will be a very deep-rooted relationship. If you see a tree, that is why he is comparing here with the trees. Why? If you see a tree, you will find that the trees which are standing, it is having a deep root inside the ground, and isn't it? So inside the ground, its roots, these are gone, its roots are gone inside the ground, and that is why the tree, that long and tall tree, that is standing there. So the poetic persona is dreaming, or the poetic persona is wanting that in the same way, the relationship between each and every American should be very much a deep-rooted relationship. It should not be a trivial relationship. It shouldn't be a very transitory relationship or temporary. It should be a very kind of a relationship between each and every brother of America, each and every North American and South American, whosoever it be, all the inhabitants of America, they will be having a very deep-rooted relationship among them, isn't it? So the poetic persona is trying to say that is why he is comparing with the trees. So there are 2 points. There are 2 points behind comparing this companionship along with the thickness of the trees. What are the 2 points? The first point is that the trees are very densely situated. If you go to a dense forest, if you go to a jungle, you will see that the trees are there in a very close proximity, in a very close, you can say there is a very less distance among them. So the poetic persona is wishing the same for his countrymen, that he wants that his countrymen should have that relationship like a brother who will be standing beside each other, whether it's a happy situation or unhappy or a sad, sorrowful situation, but they will be standing beside each other. Okay, so that there should be the sense of togetherness, there should be the sense of brotherhood among each and every American. So that is the first point. And the second point is that, as I said, that there should be a deep-rooted relationship. That means it should not be a transitory relationship, it shouldn't be a temporary relationship, or it should not be a showy relationship among each and every American, but the warmth of relationship among each brother of America among the each inhabitants of this country, that it will be like the deep rooted, the root of a tree, as it goes under the ground, very deep under the ground. The same way the relationship also will be a deep rooted relationship, a strong relationship. The next line, America and along, so he is trying to say where he will sow or where he will plant the saplings of companionship. He will plant the saplings of companionship, or the seed of companionship. He will sow, SOW, where? Along all the rivers of America, everywhere, whether it's a water body or whether it's a land. So he will, everywhere he will plant that sense of companionship. And along the source of great lakes. So along the source of great lakes means along the bank of, you can see that of all the lakes of America, along the banks of all the shores of America. Okay, and all over the prairies. Prairies are the grassland. Okay, prairies are the grassland. So he, by these things, why he is mentioning all these things, he is telling where he will plant. He will plant all the all the rivers of America, over beside all the lakes of America, and also beside all the grassland of America. So that means everywhere, whether it's a water body or whether it's a land, particular land form of the country. So he will plant that companionship everywhere in the country. Okay, I think today we should stop here because already it's 30 minutes, so it's a 30 minutes class. So you watch this video properly, whether it means once or twice, however, means up to when you didn't understand all these things, up to when you have, means that all these things you have appreciated, or on all the meaning you have understood. You watch this video. I have tried to explain each and every aspect of this poem. So we shall be stopping here. The next day we shall be completing this one. Okay, so we shall be stopping here up to this all over the prairies. That means the grassland. Okay, you remember. Okay, so all the best for today. This is all for today. We shall be completing the chapter in our next class. Okay, have a good day.